Hey, I am here with my good friend Mike. How are we doing?
Great, man. How you been, bro?
I've been great. So I'm super excited to have you on the Redbelt podcast. I met Mike through a business mastermind in in martial arts. So I actually met him through business first, but he's another um, BJJ black belt gym owner. Like me, he wasn't a black belt when he started his gym, though. He had a super huge gym. I don't know how huge it was at purple, but it was huge at brown. At brown belt, it was already enormous. Um, so you want to share anything about your about that or your background that people should know, Mike?
Yeah, sure, man. I started martial arts when I was really young, like you. My parents got me into it just like you. Um, I think they sensed I could use some more discipline and some more structure, and the team sports just weren't cutting it for me. I was kind of spacing out there. But the second I got into Taekwondo, it was the first thing I did. It was just I gravitated right toward it. They didn't have to ask me to go to practice. I was, waiting at the door, with my gear every day. And then I always knew this is what I wanted to do. I worked at a traditional martial arts school all through high school and a little bit after high school. I didn't go to college. I knew this is what I wanted to do. I think I did one semester of community college and just didn't do well and knew that this is what the future was going to hold. I took about 2 years off after I stopped working at the other traditional martial arts school I worked at and really like let my health slip, started drinking too much, doing drugs, really started to slip down the deep end and seeing friends of mine die from overdose and stuff like that. I knew I had to take a different path and got back into jujitsu after about a year of doing jujitsu. I started my own school. I'm pretty sure I was still a white belt. It might have even been less than, might have been 6 months in. I did a tournament and then I was like, okay, I know enough. I can start teaching jujitsu now. And I'm lucky I had a lot of help from my association. Helson Gracie's my instructor. And, despite a lot of concerns from people that really don't matter, I started it as a white belt. And the rest is history, man. It's the best thing I've ever done. And we have a great team, and I love every day of it.
So I've actually had a number of guests on here that started teaching prior to black belt. Um, I was a purple belt barely when I opened my school. I had actually applied and was going through the process of opening it at blue belt. Um, but I was teaching for free through first just teaching for free jujitsu at a club at my university. And then through Eddie had a program he called his hot box program, was basically you didn't
I
get
remember
paid,
that.
but
I
you
remember
you
that.
got to that was one of the really early ones. You got to kind of represent the name and stuff like that, but you couldn't charge. And it was just like an instructor in training program, right? Kind of his version of the Gracie Garages sort of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so he doesn't have that anymore because he can barely like he blew up so big. It's like it's too much to worry about these not paying little clubs.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I was also teaching at a lower rank, and I had some reasons in terms of I tried everywhere locally, and I didn't necessarily want to open right then, but like I've tried everywhere locally and then started traveling to Houston. And then like, man, if I'm going to travel further, might as well go to, like I saw Eddie's stuff online and had his books and was a huge fan. Might as well go over there. Right. And then during the
Yeah.
summers I was there, and then in the main semester and stuff like that, I was still at college, I would teach. So I personally couldn't find anything locally. Was there in like did you have similar reasons for wanting to teach at white belt? Like, because white belt's real early for teaching jujitsu if you don't have a good reason for it, right?
Yeah. Well, I started assistant teaching when I was like 12 in traditional martial arts. So I knew how to teach martial arts. I didn't know like the moves the right way in jujitsu. Um, but I just have always had this incredible belief in myself And I just knew I could do it. I mean, you know, just as well as me, there's plenty of people out there that are world champion black belts, UFC fighters that would crush both me and you probably at the same time, Brian. They cannot teach to save their ass because they don't love teaching. They love training. They love working out. But man, it takes a lot of self-sacrifice to teach. A code I live by is what the student needs is never at the mercy of what the instructor wants. And a lot of times I feel like the upper belts get bored with teaching the same side control escape, the same basic hip bump sweep, these building blocks that we take for granted if we've been training for a long time. So we want to teach the cool shit. You know what I mean? We want to teach, you know, someone on their first day how to do like a snap down into like a rolling darce choke. And that's just way too much information. So I always knew that I was a good teacher. I love teaching. I knew it was something that wouldn't feel like work no matter how hard it was. And the other tasks that come along with running the gym are just, they're fueling that. So I always was able to do them with a smile on my face. I guess the answer is I started so early because I didn't want to do anything else. At the time, I was selling frozen meat door to door out of the back of a pickup truck. And I was like, anything, and I made good money doing that. So I do have a sales background. I did that for 2 years, man. And I'm telling you what, it was like a sales masterclass. That's a hard racket, bro. Going up to someone, you know, on a day like today with a busted pickup truck with a freezer on the back saying, hey, you want to buy some lobster or some steaks for me? So I knew anything was going to be better than what I was currently doing. And I've just always loved teaching, and I just knew that it would work. And I had an opportunity come up. I started at a community center, you know, renting the space for like $400 a month. I think I had the equivalent of maybe like 100 square feet of mats, like with just, I mean, in the beginning, we did a lot wrong, man. We cracked a lot of eggs to make the omelets, bro. And our retention wasn't great because we would get people in, but it was pretty evident that like we were good teachers, but we weren't good at jujitsu yet. I don't think anyone is until they get up to like a purple belt level. Some phenoms at blue belt and whatnot. And I had a lot of support, you know what I mean? I had a lot of people believing in me, and my family never told me it was a crazy, dumb idea. They were always like, yeah, we'll support you in any way we can. My brothers, my business partner, he's been my, you know, my partner since day one. My now wife always believed in me. My best friends always believed in me. So I had a high level of belief in myself, and that was reciprocated by the people around me. So it was like, why care what anyone else thinks? If I believe in it and the people closest to me believe in it, who's it going to hurt?
Right. So, in my experience, I've seen a lot of these schools come up from non-black belts. Seen schools come up from black belt too, but there's a difference, right? And yes, both of us probably would have got a black belt a lot faster if instead we dedicated ourselves to our training, and then maybe taught at that gym on the side a little bit or something, and then opened a black belt, opened a school once we had a black belt. But the schools that they have an instructor still, they have, it's not so much just about an association, but they bring their instructor down, which you've brought your instructor down for seminars all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you went and trained with your instructor, probably some. But the people that pursue their training, those schools do tend to make it. And even if they kind of know how to teach and they know business, the jujitsu side ends up not making it if that isn't true. For instance, some of these Taekwondo schools or these people from another background, they do like they go into jujitsu. There was a second in time that was really common because there were not that many jujitsu schools, and the Taekwondo guys saw the need. It's like, hey, all the adults are leaving. It's like adults like jujitsu better, I guess. So why not have this? And they pursue it. The ones that don't train their school might be successful, but their jujitsu program, if someone there isn't pursuing jujitsu training, because I've seen it work. People say it can't work. I've seen it work. instructor got to be super motivated in a lot of different areas. But I've definitely seen lower ranks work, but they have to be actively pursuing their black belt. If they're not, it tends to not work. If your goal is to, like, even if you're a purple belt, so not like ultra bad, if your goal is to be a purple belt forever, like the business side seems to not work at your school. I've seen. Have you seen different than that?
I tend to agree with you. I think I was reading a quote or listening to a podcast the other day with Machida, and Machida was talking about how, like, you have to keep the water warm on the stove, and if you turn it off and you let the water sit and it gets cold, you're not a black belt anymore. You're just not. This art evolves so fast, bro. I mean, look, I remember being a white belt watching Eddie Bravo. Eddie was one of the few people that had material on YouTube at that time and would just talk, like, just give information so freely. It's something I've always loved and respected about Eddie is I feel like he doesn't gatekeep information at all. And there was a lot of that in the beginning of jiu-jitsu where it was like, these secret moves and secret business tactics, and there was a high barrier to entry. But there's a couple people like him, and I think everyone that's been training for a while remembers Submissions 101. I mean, that dude got a lot of heat because he was teaching like all these moves, and he was a blue belt. Ari
Yep.
Nazan, I think it's his last name, and so I agree with you 100% because I went through a phase when I was a brown belt when I was focused almost entirely on the business. I was maybe training twice a week, and my jiu-jitsu suffered as a result. And as a result of my jiu-jitsu suffering, my classes suffered as a result. And as a result of that, the school suffered a little bit. So you can't be ever hyper-focused on one area. In business, I think a good quote is specialization is for insects. You can't be too specialized in one area. That works in nature because it keeps you alive, but in business, that will kill you. You have to be good. Well, I don't like answering the phone. Okay, well, then you either got to get good at it or you got to sacrifice some finances to pay someone that is. Well, I don't like teaching the kids. Okay, well, then you're going to be capped at your level that you can teach adults at. And there's not every adult in your community is going to want to do that. So you either have to get good at it or you have to invest in someone that is. So you have to wear many, many, many different hats in this business, and not just, I hear, I don't like talking to my students about their personal problems and their addiction habits or their diet or their wife. Do you care or not, man? Because it's not just you pay me, I collect, I teach you an armbar, we go home. That's the fucking end of the transaction. It's not transactional. Jiu-jitsu is not transactional. It's coaching, and a coach has to be there for their students and for their team. So yes, someone has to be in the trenches. Someone has to be developing their own game because you cannot lead people to become what you have not. You can't lead someone to be a good black belt if you've never become that. You can't even lead that. You can't lead someone to be a good kids instructor, a good salesperson. You cannot lead to become that which you have not.
Correct. Well, what's super interesting to me is some people, I posted something a while back, I think even a couple years ago now, and I asked if someone, jiu-jitsu, BJJ school owners, if someone comes to you wanting to lose weight, do you have help for that? And the massive answer was no, which is mind-blowing because 90-something% of people come to a jiu-jitsu school for that reason, and they're like, no, just go to Weight Watchers or whatever. We do jiu-jitsu here. Like, well, people are not there for that. So in other words, you don't actually care what your customer wants. You're like, we're going to do this. You're going to be an IBJJF world champion. Well, there's where your problem is, because that's all stuff you want. That's nothing that any of your customers want.
And what the student needs can never be at the mercy of what the instructor wants. Every school that I've seen fail it's this hyper focus on what the leader wants out of the gym, wants out of the students. But dude, if the person's on like sleep apnea medication and they can barely breathe, how are you going to get them to a level where they understand and can execute? You have to help people with weight loss. You at least have to have some basic understanding of nutrition, diet, sleep, supplements, and some sort of weight training, a basic understanding. Or if you aren't willing to invest that time, you must invest in someone that is, so we can get these people to a baseline of fitness where they can actually appreciate jujitsu. You know, when I started jujitsu, I was almost 230 pounds, man. And I was just a mess. I always joke around when students are struggling on their first day of class and they're like, dude, that was so hard. I don't know about this. I'm like, look, man, did you throw up? And they're like, no. I'm like, I threw up my first day of class. So you're doing better than me. They come back the second day, like, it's still really hard. I'm like, did you shit yourself? And they're like, no. I'm like, I shit myself from knee on belly because of poor dietary. I think I was out drinking the night before. So my first class I threw up, my second class I shit myself. If you're not puking or shitting your first two classes, you're doing better than me, man. You're gonna be okay. And I also think that when you come from a point of a little bit of struggle and you understand, then people look up to you. They're a little more apt to feedback and to listen to what you got. But I'm with you, man. Like, why are we not listening to what these people need? And not so much what they want, but actually asking the right questions to dig out what they actually need out of training. It's not just what they want, because they might be off base. You know, if the goal is I just want to win a Naga sword, that's such a shallow goal, dude. Like, why do you want that? What is driving that desire? And let's drill down and ask the right questions and find out what this person actually needs and make sure that what we provide aligns with that.
Right. So you talked about asking the right questions, which is a good opportunity to taper in to sales. So Mike is I've had another Mike in that's one of the other best salespeople I've met. So Mike Sanford and Mike Stewart.
Mike
So
Sanford's a
Mike
beast
Stewart
too, bro.
today. What?
Yeah.
Mike's a good name for sales, I guess. But asking the right questions is, you're talking about beyond sales, but it's a really important part of sales, getting the people what they want and such. Correct?
Sales is just leading someone to make a correct decision. I think that sales gets salespeople, you get this. If I ask someone to paint a picture in their head, what does a salesperson look like? It's like the dude with the slick back hair and he's wearing the suit and he's wheeling and dealing. But a good salesperson is simply a guide to helping you make the right decisions, and a guide ask the right questions. Why is it so important for you to lose the weight? Why is it so important that you understand how to protect yourself, how to ground fight? Why do you want your kid to be involved in this program? And what we do a lot, like, we know everyone probably has a sales script, and we ask these surface level questions just to move them down the path of the sales cycle to get them to sign up, instead of taking the time of drilling down. And if you've had any sales training before, you're familiar with pain points and stuff like that. But I look at more like a pain funnel, which you're a funnel expert. So I look at the pain funnel. These are the rudimentary questions here, but then we got to like really narrow it down to like the get past the boulders and get to like the sand pebbles of why do you really want to be here? To make sure I can do it. You know, I've had guys be like, listen, dude, I want to be ADCC world champ. I want to be the next Gordon Ryan. I might not be the best coach for you for that. I'll try, but I'm just going to be real. I've never done that. Again, it's difficult to lead people to become what you have not. So we might send them to another gym if that's the case. In the past, people would come in and say, I want to be a UFC fighter. And I would send them to my friends' gyms around me because I had no fighters. But now we have a UFC fighter at the gym, and it's a no-brainer. I can figure out why. But why do you want to be a fighter? Is it just to like prove somebody that you can do it? Or do you really love it? Do you really believe in yourself? Why do you want to lose the weight? Well, I just want to get in shape. Most people just check that box on the script and just keep going. But why do you want to lose the weight? Well, it's getting in the way of my health, and it's okay. But why is that so important to you? What would happen if you did nothing about that right now? Right? What steps are you currently taking? What exactly are we after at the end of the day? If you could see yourself in 5 years, what would that look like if you did the right things? And then we're painting a picture of success for them and showing them that we do have a plan. We do care. A lot of salespeople are just waiting for their turn to talk, and they're too heavy on values and benefits. You know, everything from the website to the sales process is all about, well, I come from this lineage, and, you know, like for you example, I trained under Eddie Bravo. Oh, cool. I mean, like, we know who Eddie is. We know who Helsing Gracie is, but you ask the average person, hey, who's Helsing Gracie? Like, I don't know.
It wouldn't matter
Relson,
if they knew. It wouldn't matter. This is what I
doesn't
realized
matter.
wouldn't even matter if they knew. It wouldn't matter if it was Conor McGregor or somebody that they were a huge fan of. Now, there are some exceptions, and we're talking about the 1 or 2% that perhaps they have heard of me or my coach or something like that, and they did come in for that reason. But the other percent is like, even if they knew Conor McGregor and were a huge fan and Conor taught next door, what really matters is who can really meet their needs. Because if they're a huge Conor fan and they need to lose 100 pounds and Conor's just beating people up in there, and we've got a plan for you and we can show that you care, you might pick me over Conor, and you have no idea who me or my lineage is.
And you might even pay more. You might even pay more for you.
Yeah.
You know, people sell themselves short. You got to get real clear on what you're the best at. You know, for a long time, I really prided myself on just being the best. I told myself I'm going to be the best kids jiu-jitsu instructor on earth. And I set that goal for myself. I don't know if I got close or not. I'd like to think I'm very good at it, because now I have a team where the kids' classes are just on fire and it's replicatable. That shows that you have a system that actually works. And I think something else too, when we're talking about sales, I feel like a lot of school owners are very unclear on their messaging and their brand, and they're trying to sell people on things that are important to them instead of what do you actually do. And I've really been spending some time working with a couple branding experts recently. My school's called Rising Tide Academy. A rising tide raises all ships. Okay, that's cool, surface level. But what are we really giving people behind the weight loss? What is the real goal? Behind the confidence that we're giving kids, what are we really giving them? Behind the fighting skills that we're maybe giving an amateur fighter that wants to sharpen their jiu-jitsu, what are we really giving? Law enforcement that needs to use this stuff to safely detain people without getting in trouble, without hurting people in their community. What are we really, really, really giving them? And for me, it's one word, it's freedom. Jiu-jitsu gives you freedom. It gives you freedom from obesity. It gives you freedom from anxiety, depression, social pressure, bullying. Gives you freedom that someone's going to punk you and beat up your kid, or someone's going to attack your wife. You have this freedom, which allows you to walk through life in a very enriched way. And that's what I want to give people. I want to give people more freedom. And if you ask anyone, hey, would you like to have a little bit more freedom? Would you like to be free of your sleep apnea, of your obesity, of your anxiety, of your depression, of your social awkwardness? Would you like to be free of that? Well, if they say, no, I'm cool. Like, I feel maybe I'm not the best fit. And I think a good salesperson too is okay with saying no. I don't need every student. I don't want every student. I just want the right students. Most people fit the criteria. But I just don't want every piece of low-hanging fruit that comes through the gym. There has to be a certain baseline of discipline and respect before they come in. And our sales processes are pretty involved, man. It's not just a 10-minute, okay, let me show you. Let me ask you why you want to do this. Okay, we do it. Okay, here's the prices, the schedule, pick your program. It's not like that, dude. It's more like a therapist session to figure out like what's wrong. I think you came to one of my sales training that we did in Tulum with Alan, where I treat it like a doctor's visit, where I'm diagnosing. A shitty doctor does what? Oh, your arm hurts. Here's a cortisone shot. Get out of my face. Next, right? Well, shitty salesperson does the same thing. Oh, you don't want your kid to get bullied? Jiu-jitsu is good for not bullying. Next, sign up. Next. A awesome doctor says, well, which arm is it? You ever heard of these dudes getting like the wrong leg amputated and shit like that? I mean, That's a lack of asking the right questions, dude. So what arm is it? What part of the arm? Is it muscular? Is it skeletal? Is it this? Let's order an MRI. Let's try this alternative before we cut you open and give you surgery. Let's maybe look into this. Let's look into this. Hey, maybe I don't have the answer. Here's the expert you need to maybe talk to. And digging down to figure out what the ailment is, like I can't feel what you feel. So I need to ask the right questions to figure out what's going on. A good salesperson does the same thing. They diagnose.
Yeah, at the sales training that he was talking about, and I've been to some different sales trainings like this, and these are usually the best one. It's basically what I learned was everybody tells you to ask questions, but most people are stopping their why too early. And
Way
if
too
you
early.
think about it, if you think about it in terms of like, if it was somebody you cared a lot about and we're having a conversation with, if it was your mom that said, hey, what I need to find something to do. Okay, well, what makes you want to do that? I want to lose some weight. Okay, yeah, get into this class over here. Would you do it that way, or were you like, hey, mom, why do you feel like you want to lose some weight?
Yeah, what else
like,
is going on?
right? Yeah. So you would ask that, but people at their gym and cells don't, and people can feel the difference. And one thing is like, it used to frustrate me because like people would sign up for jujitsu at like the karate place down the street that was injuring people, and it was like, I had been there and I got this bone broken there, right? It was just like, you didn't want to be there, but you'd sign up there instead of here. And like, man, I have more everything. And we were cheaper at that time. We were cheaper. I have a resume, a lineage. We have better, we have better, like, but they just had a better sales process. It wasn't
That's
even
it.
that good. And I wouldn't even say a better sales process. It's just that your students don't know what to look for. They might have even heard online, but like that person didn't even have like any belt rank in jiu-jitsu, right? So they don't know what to look for and what good martial arts is, but they know like what good customer service is. They know somebody that makes them feel like you cared, right? So which is different than a normal salesperson, like you're saying. So I think that's a big part of the secret is if you can sit down with people and talk to them like you care about them and find out what's actually wrong, right? And really then that goes into retention too. If you can like now set up a plan to help them with that, they're going to stay with you longer too. If you, instead of it's like, oh great, you signed up, now throw into the run of the mill little place over there, like, okay, hope it works out.
Yep.
Then
And
yeah.
we have no excuse to have poor retention with the tools that we have at our disposal in 2024, right? It used to be, I don't even remember what software we were using when I was teaching at the other school I used to work at, but it would be a computer printout. No one used email. I think there was American Online Instant Messenger was like the only form of like social media communication that there was. And there was no text messaging. I don't even think I had a cell phone at the time. So you would have to print a list out and get on the physical company phone and just fucking call people. Do you know how many students I've gotten back just because I didn't need a report? I'm on the mats all the time. I just know this guy's not coming in.
Me
And I
too.
just send him a DM. Hey, bro, what's going on? Is everything okay? I miss you in class. And that's not bullshit. I do miss, and back to what you're talking about before, you have to treat these people on the first interaction like they're your best friend, like they're a family member. Why? Because students that stick around at the gym, they do become your best friends. They do become like your family. So it's important that we put our best foot forward and we don't just act like we care. We have to genuinely care. I've fired salespeople before because they're really good at pretending like they care and they're following the script and they're asking the right questions. But people with high emotional intelligence know that this person's just trying to get their commission and they don't really care. So you have to actually fucking care. Like you have to care a lot because it's easy for us because we've been doing it for so long. Like I still remember my first jujitsu class as an adult. I still remember my first kids class at 6 years old in Taekwondo. It is a special day for people. The first day a kid puts on their gi or their rash guard or their gloves or whatever, it's like almost like a little rite of passage for that little human being. It gives me chills thinking about it. The first day my son and daughter were old enough to put them in their gi and be barefoot on the mat and actually take the class, I cried, dude. It's so special. And adults are just kids with jobs, just more complex emotions and more responsibilities. And we want to treat this like it's, dude, you're part of a freaking team now, dude. You have people that are going to watch your back and care about you you're like patched in almost like a gang. And we got your back, but here are your responsibilities. You do need to be here. You need to be here this frequently. If these criteria, I tell everyone in the beginning, there is going to come a point where you are going to want to quit, or your kid is going to want to quit. It is inevitable. We've all gone through it. And when that happens, you need to talk with me and we'll create a success plan for you. And when they don't reach out, you have to reach out, even if it's not what you want to do. What you want doesn't, it always, what you want as your gym owner always gets put in the back seat. Always gets put in the back seat. It is about, what does the school need? What does my staff need? What do my students need? Because if we all did just what we wanted, we'd have probably 50 students. They'd all be very good at jiu-jitsu, and we'd probably still be sleeping on the mats like I know me and you used to have to do sometimes. Which is cool if that's what you want, but that's not what I want. I want to live an extraordinary life, and I want to use this great gift that we've been given to help others, give people more freedom. And like you kind of were hinting at it, but people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's so like old school Zig Ziglar, like rudimentary business success, but it's so true. I think we forget that sometimes.
Yeah. So what Mike was just saying, I don't even know if Mike knows this, but he probably does. He sees social media, but I founded Redbelt Software because I wasn't happy with the solutions. They're already better than it was available at the time. I'm actually in another country. I'm in India right now, have been for the last, spent Christmas here, spent my birthday in November, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, all that over here away from family and whatever, doing this because I feel like we're building something better because I am passionate about that piece because it is so important. Exactly what you're saying. I've experienced the same thing, that I just remembered, oh man, so-and-so hasn't been here, call him. But then I look at lists and then you think about it. Yeah, we've all done that. If you're a good coach, you've done that before, but who did you miss? Because I've also thought about somebody later, and then I realize I thought about somebody and it's been 2 months and I get that dread feeling. It's like, man, I'm going to call this person, but I should have called this person a long time ago. And this conversation won't go well. I needed help. I needed a reminder. I needed a sophisticated system. So yeah, if you're not using tech, you're not serving, not just your profit is suffering, because it is. If you're not using the best tech you can, and I'm talking about you move a number a little bit, you should be, people are like, oh, this software is $10 a month more. Bro, if it was $500 a month more, you move one of your numbers 5% and you have a huge return on it. You're just not thinking about business, right? But still, you're also not serving customers properly. So like none of these other guys, there's not even calls in their system. What is the 3 most important touch points? It's phone calls is probably number 1 still, then text, and then emails. And none of these guys even have anything to do with calls. They don't monitor it for quality and training purposes. They don't do forwarding to give it to more than one person so they can catch it. They don't do anything with it. And so ours does, and that's just one thing that we have. Like, I was just super unhappy with the solutions because they didn't compare with what's out there in the regular industry, right? They didn't, there's softwares that are good compared to the other martial arts softwares, but compared to other softwares, if you delete martial arts from that sentence, like nobody was competitive. Like, man, so I had to, it's not, people think it's just for money, bro. Like should I say this on a podcast? But like I basically was in a position I could have just retired, right? That I could replace myself at my gym and I could have just retired. Instead, I'm still down exponentially, not even counting my work on, like, I've got a huge amount of money in this. So it really wasn't just for the money. I was passionate about doing something else for this industry. So,
I love that.
It's frustrating to be like that. Like you talk to these people and they don't even care. Like, oh, my point here was to optimize your numbers on this. It's like, oh, who cares about those? I'm like, need to educate people with podcasts. Which brings us to—
So I'm glad you brought that up. And if you don't mind, I'd like to interject. I belong to several high-level mastermind groups that have nothing to do with our industry at all. And it's proven to me how much in the Stone Age we are in the martial arts industry, bro. It is insane. We set the bar so low for ourselves. And our barometer for success is broken. And our barometer for what good customer service looks like is broken. There's a lot of arrogance in this business. Hey, you should respect me because it's my gym and I'm the black belt and you should be lucky to come here. Bro, you get to teach martial arts. You get to make your attendance calls. You get to clean up the bathroom and clean the mats afterward, bro. This little bit of sacrifice that you have to make every day to make a successful school. And I think the biggest thing I see compared to what you were saying too, like people won't spend an extra $50 on software. I get calls all the time, I'm sure you're aware, of other school owners. Man, I want to be successful. They don't pay their staff. They don't invest in software. They don't read. They don't read. I mean, Audible is, I don't even know how much, but if they jack their prices by $100 a year, I'd still pay it because I gain so much value from that. And every other business that has good margins, they invest in technology, they invest in their people in math. If your people are off, something's going to be wrong. If your math is off, something's going to be wrong. Technology can help with both of those things. And the worst thing in leadership is, well, that's just how we've always done it. That's the worst phrase in leadership. And like, I'm not really ashamed to say this. Like, I've buried schools around me that have been around for a long time because they refuse to evolve. They refuse to adapt. And I always use the analogy, and this applies to jiu-jitsu and in business. Well, what you guys are doing is you're using a single shot musket that you have to like muzzle load from the top and shove the rod in and put the primer in and all that. And the rest of us are out here using machine guns with optics on them, bro, and suppressors. Like, why would you choose? You're choosing to use that piece of shit technology. There is such an evolution that's happening right now. But as you know, and as we all know, if we've been around for a while, martial arts school owners are notoriously cheap bastards. They don't want to spend money on stuff and they just want to take pride, but then they wonder why their profit margins are off. And it's
very
like
scarcity mindset. And I get it because I was born in a family with a scarcity mindset. We were poor, and that was like how you made it, is right. You just, there's not enough, so you bring everything down, like all the expenditures, everything down. But like that's and my dad is like, he's brilliant and he's a great guy, and like he's not even going to say his age, but he's getting up there and he still works with his hands. He's a contractor and he still works with his hands. Like, you should be able to sell your contracting business today and exit for $1 million with that. Like, he's got a great name in the community. He's got like all of this stuff. And he's like, oh, I don't want to do that. And that's fine. But like, from my point of view, that's not where I want to be. We'll put it that way. Yep. That's not where I want to be. And that's where everybody in this industry is they're very scarcity mindset. Not everybody, but a lot of them, it's like, oh, well, what does it cost? And like, okay, well, I found something $10 a month cheaper. Like, oh, okay, well, does it do all this stuff? No, but I really just need automatic billing. It's like, no, you really need a lot, bro. Your mindset shift to start. But
you need something that's going to take the guesswork, like you said, out of it, because we are human, we're flawed. Even the sharpest business mind forgets things and neglects things. How many employees do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
At my gym or over here?
Let's say both.
Okay.
Not in the aggregate, but how many employees do you have at your gym? How many employees do you have at your
at my gym? I have 2 full-time employees right now, and then I have 6 part-time employees. But my full-time employees are I won't say how much they're paid, but they're paid more than the vast majority of gym owners that I've spoke to make, right? Say 90% of them. And they, especially my manager right now, his wife was like all concerned when he was leaving because he has a degree. He worked And so man, I'm forgetting what, but he worked like helping with people having mental crisis and whatever. So he was like having to go out on calls and like with people, like people tried to stab him before and all sorts of things, and take these people in, and like he liked it and he was good with that, but like his boss hated him and all that stuff, and his wife was like financially concerned, and he moved over and he made more with me than
Yeah.
getting almost stabbed over there in that job. And he's not like super money motivated or anything like that. He didn't switch for money, but he switched once again for like because his manager didn't value him.
Yep.
But
My
anyway,
reason I asked is how many, the reason I asked how many employees you have, 84% of businesses that don't hire more than 4 people ultimately fail. That's a real statistic. So you can chug along, just you and maybe one other person for a while, and keep your expenses low. I don't look at payroll as an expense as much as I do as an investment. Same thing with software and business coaching. It's an expense, but it is a huge investment in your future. Your people are your biggest asset and your biggest investment. Like I could make way more than I make right now, but I wouldn't have the freedom, and I wouldn't be giving people the skills to scale. And ultimately, if you're the single point of failure in your business, you can't sell it. You can't sell it. The private equity won't screw with you if you're the only person there making money. There's got to
for
be a
sure.
system built around you. And 84% of businesses, look, if you're a gym owner, and look, if you only have like, 100 students or something like that, it's fine. It's probably manageable with, 2 other people and some assistants or whatever. But if you want to have a big school, you got to hire people. And we do like slave labor for these instructors sometimes, pay them nothing. They get good at jujitsu and then they open their own school, and we expect this like undying loyalty. But this is America, dude. This isn't like Brazil in the 70s. This is not feudal Japan. These people like
Yeah, you
sacrifice
have to
time
give
for
people a
us, and we
living
must
if you
sacrifice.
want them to stay working for you. Yeah.
That's
So
it.
the
And
other
my
half of
goal
your
is always,
question, yeah, the other half of
sorry, go
your
ahead.
question
Go
is
ahead.
I got 17 people over full-time employees over here at Red Belt.
Great. So you're in the top 28%. That's not gonna, you know what I mean? Like that's the key, man. That's great to hear. Congrats, by the way. That's huge. Because remember when you first started this, it was just you.
Correct, with everything. No, I mean, I had volunteers like you're talking about. I've had somebody's been willing to help me. Even when my parents were like, I don't know if you should be doing that. Somebody, students or whatever, has been willing to help me from the very beginning. And I'm definitely super appreciative of that. It's just for sure different when you can pay people. Like if you it's not just for them also when you pay like when you can pay somebody, you take these volunteers that are volunteering for you and you can get them a full-time pay, you can really watch them shine now. Just like all the people that
Yeah.
don't want to pay for a jiu-jitsu gym, they're like, oh, martial arts should be free, whatever. You watch the Bruce Lee movie or something. But I can give you so much of a better service. I taught for free for years over at Lamar. We had to walk like a block to go back down to the bathroom, and we were forced to close on school holidays. And we had to kick the mats in together before every class. And like I could go on and on. You're better off paying for something good.
In general, whether it's service or training, free training is not good and good training is not free. Whether it's business coaching, whether it's what you're doing with the technology side, coaching, someone that's willing to do it for free. Like, would you take a free steak from the grocery store? It's all brown and shit. Or maybe it's like not even free, but it's such a low price point, $1.99 steak. And it's a big old piece of meat. I'm taking the $30 steak home all day, bro. I don't even need to like experiment with the $3 one. I just know it's probably not going to be good. Educated consumers know that cheap isn't good and good isn't cheap.
For
What
sure.
is that triangle that it's like good? It's like good, cheap, fast. You
Cheap.
can always have 2 of them, but you can't have all 3. You can have no wait, you can always have yeah.
Sometimes you can
Good.
just
I
get
think
one.
it's good, cheap, fast, right? If it's fast and it's good, then it's not going to be cheap,
Yeah.
right? If I can get you something that's really, really good and I can get it to you really, really fast, it ain't going to be cheap, brother. right? If it's really, really cheap and I can get it to you really, really fast, guess what? It ain't going to be good, right? And if it's really, really good and it's really, really cheap, you're not going to get it fast.
And you may not get that.
Never get all three. If you find something that's good, fast, cheap, bro, like, congratulations. Like, you've cracked the code, but it's rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, partly because it is good because investment went into it. That's the whole thing where, like, if your martial arts school owner can quit his job, he can serve you better. If he can hire help, he can serve you better. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can give you good jujitsu and I can make you get good really, really fast, but it ain't gonna be cheap because of the years of dedication it's taken to have the correct facilities, curriculum, and instructors to make it good and to make you be proficient in a relatively quick period of time. But before I could get you good, I couldn't do it fast because I didn't have the knowledge. So it was a little bit cheaper. I mean, you gotta figure that out for yourself, like where your points of failure are with that. And if you're trying to be all three, then that's the quickest path to the bottom.
Right. So we talked about several different things, but when I asked you before this what your specialty was, I kind of remembered how good you were at diving into the pain and cells and stuff like that. But you were like, hey, our retention, like our retention and renewal system, getting somebody to sign back up again, basically. So, like, yeah, I'd love to hear about that because that's super important.
Yeah, well, it all starts with quality classes, instructors that care, clean facilities, flexible scheduling. Again, what does the student need, not what we want. I used to teach my adult classes at 8 p.m. at night because that was cool for me because I'm a night owl. The people aren't coming at 8 at night, so now they're at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. and there's a kids class at the same time as the adult class, so you can bring your kids, and it's that excuse is gone. What we've tried to do is take all the excuses that people make, which are valid, and we have tried to eliminate those through our services. The big problem people run into with renewals, Brian, is they wait too long. This person, it starts with attendance and it starts with retention and making sure this person's showing up to class. Because how would you feel if I sign you up January 1st, you come January, February, March, April, you don't come for the rest of the year. I call you December when your membership's about to be up next month. And I'm like, hey man, your membership's up. You're going to sign up again? Like, let's get you back in here. You'd be like, this fucking guy hasn't given two shits about me for half the year. I would be insulted by that. Now you're calling me, when it's time to collect money again. And you want me to renew for something I haven't even gotten the benefit of. That person should have been called, text, emailed, DM, whatever, 2 weeks after they stop showing up. Hey, what's going on? And not, you need to get back in here. Stop being a you-know-what. You need to stop being a bitch and get in here. Not that. What's going on with you, bro? What's happening? Being flexible with people as much as we can. If there's a family issue, if there is a medical issue, if there's work relocation, if there's a divorce happening, put that person on pause. You will play the long game with that. Just give them a month and put it at the end. So you're still getting the money at the end, but it shows people that you do care. You're willing to be flexible. And do whatever it takes to get them back into class. If someone's like, dude, I just keep getting hurt, I'm apprehensive. I'll tell you what, come 30 minutes before class, me and you are going to work together. I'm going to give you some tips. Whatever it takes to keep a student there within reason, I will do. And then we renew people 3 months before their renewal date is up. At least we begin the conversation. Because then even if someone did slip in this process and they didn't get a call in this time, 3 months before the membership date is up, look, if they're coming every day and they're enjoying the benefit of the program, that should be easy, right? But how many times have you school owners out there have the situation where you're like, I'm certain Brian, you go with your team, oh, we don't need to call Brian. We know he's going to renew. He's here every day. Renewal time comes, the guy's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to take a break, dude. I'm not really, I'm going to look into some other things. I'm going to try Krav Maga or some bullshit. And you're like, whoa, I did not see that coming. If I hit, let's say you're up in What is it now? It's February. So my guys are working on May and June renewals now, right? Anyone that's up next month has already been called. We know if they're quitting or not, right? So I can forecast better because we've all had the months too where, dude, I signed up 35 new students this month. Why is my net profit so low? Because you had 32 dropouts and you didn't do your due diligence to make sure, you didn't forecast, you had no idea that this was going to happen. And if those attendance calls aren't, if the classes aren't good and they're not exciting and engaging and they're not getting the fitness out of it too, that's another thing I see is like people are like, why are students quitting? Because you're turning jujitsu into a lecture hall instead of a gym experience where people like, if my students leave and I'm not covered in sweat from teaching and they're not covered in sweat and breathing heavy at the end, you didn't do your damn job, dude. That's one nail in the retention coffin, right? Okay, then they don't show up and you don't call them. That's another nail, right? Then the renewal date comes up and you do it like, I've seen people try to do it after their shit's already up. Hey, your membership is up. Would you like to come back? Of course not. They didn't renew for a reason. Or they go to auto pay. A lot of schools do auto bill at the end. You know what I mean? Where it just continues if you don't cancel. We do the same thing. And then they're calling afterward and it just alerts the person to cancel, which is okay. You know, like I go back and forth about that. But at the end of the day, if you do it right, that won't happen. 3 months before they should be getting regular attendance calls, good attention in the classes. They don't show up for 2 weeks. They're basically being harassed by one of your instructors to get them back in there, right? As aggressive as you are on the sales, hey, you got to come in and take your first class. Why are we not that aggressive with our renewals? The easiest person to close is this person you already closed. New customer acquisition is expensive, and it's getting more expensive if anyone's noticed to get quality leads. We enjoyed cheap leads for a long time, bro. It's just not there anymore. So I think we're still in that habit of, well, there'll just be 50 new students that come in next month. Okay, that's going to change and it's going to get worse. If you know, I predict it's going to get worse. So we have to get better at our retention. And guys, wouldn't it be great if you just filled your gym with 700 members and you had a waiting list because your retention and your renewals are so good that you only accept 5 new students a month and they pay a premium because of the limited true scarcity of the program. That's where I'm trying to get to. And to bring it all home, you got to pay people to do it. I pay my instructors a commission for a renewal the same way that I pay them for a new student. It's a little bit less because it's a little bit less work. But it's significant, you know, and if they hit certain numbers, if they get a certain numbers of renewals, they're on a sliding scale. So their commission goes up a bit. You can't just tell your team that you're already saddling with attendance calls and signups and appointment setting and teaching, and then be like, okay, go renew all these people and basically do it for free. It's part of your job. I mean, you can, but they're not going to do a good job. So I believe in incentivizing your team to do it. It's got to be a whatever it takes, all hands on deck effort to keep the back door shut. A lot of you have the front door, it's coming in, and there's a big draft out the back door that you're not even aware of. And it's very simple. Set a net goal for yourself, not a gross. We love the gross in martial arts. Oh, my school grossed $1 million this year. I signed up 35 students, but the net is all that matters. How many students are you getting net every month? How many students net do you need to grow to get to your goal every month? What is your net profit? What is your attrition rate? If you're not tracking these things, dude, you're guessing. You're simply guessing. And that's not how serious people run their businesses.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little long-winded, but I think it's a very neglected part of our business. The renewals are, and shouldn't you be treating the people that are already there better than the people that haven't come in yet? Like, I think so.
I do too. And I think it's just, so it's so easy to give the people that are not a problem, in quotations, in every area, the least attention. So just like, but like the smart businesses, and I didn't realize this forever, who do you give the lay down sell to? well, the better closer if everybody's available, right?
For sure.
Not to the, oh, it's easy, give them to the whatever guy, because well, no. But it's easy to do that, right? So it's like, okay, the students like, oh, this guy's good, just like you were saying. Oh, this guy surely he seems good. He's good in class. He never has any issues. So you spend all your time with the people with issues, and none of your time with the people doing great, and none of these times with these people that are coming, and then you expect that they're going to renew. So yes, it's so easy to do, though. It's so easy to your focus to be on the fires, and that's why I think you need systems, software systems, people systems, all this stuff. Because if you just go with your intuition, your attention will be drawn to the problems instead of to your assets.
Totally, bro.
Yep. So the other thing you were talking about is you talked a little bit about wearing a lot of hats and like being good at teaching kids. And I personally don't teach the kids at my school, but I have somebody that really likes kids that that teaches the kids there. So you were like, hey, we're really good at kids. So what makes you really good at kids?
I like doing it. I don't teach the kids classes anymore either. I'll do it from time to time. Just to kind of recalibrate and show. I generally will do it when we have a fresh group of junior instructors that are coming up the ranks and they need to see how I want it done. But my guys at the gym, dude, they are so good with the kids. And again, it's systems, it's replicating systems, it's understanding, it's taking the time to understand a little bit about child psychology. And I'm a dad, you know, and when I had my kids, I went from being a pretty good kids instructor to, in my view, I try to be humble. I am not that great at jujitsu. You know, 90% of the people watching this right now will probably beat me up, but I do pride myself in running just a fun class, dude. You can't, I always use this example. My dog died, right? I love that dog. I had that dog for 16 years. I went to class and taught class last night. No one knew I was having a problem because I love being there so much. You have to love it, bro. And if you don't love it, you have to pass it off to someone that does. And delegation is another big issue with school owners. They want to hold on to the hats, right? It's your job to build programs up and make them successful and then pass them off. And I've had to have a couple realizations, and you got to keep it real with yourself. I attribute my success to this, it's just being very self-aware. Okay. I told you I took 2 years off after I quit teaching at a traditional school, 2 years off before I opened my own school. In that 2-year time, yes, I was selling meat door to door, but I was also trying to be a rock star. I was in a really good band. I played guitar in that band, and I thought for sure we were going to make it. And I had to be real with myself and be like, you know what, dude, like you're better at teaching martial arts and you're a better, athlete than you are a musician. It was a hard pill to swallow, right? So I gave up on that and I just focused on teaching. And then, like you said, like I was competing a lot. I was fighting and I was being very successful. And I just loved being a competitor and I loved every part of it. But the school was suffering. So I had to be real with myself again and be like, you know what, dude, you're a pretty good competitor, but you're a very good coach. You need to stop wasting time, and not wasting time. I don't think competition's ever a waste of time, but you need to invest more time in what you're better at. Be real, dude. Just be real with yourself. What are you better at? What are you put here to do? Are you going to make it in the UFC? Are you going to be an Abu Dhabi champion? Probably not. But can you build one of the most successful schools on the planet? Absolutely. Right? So I invested all my time in just being a great coach. Now I've had this realization after working with one of my business mentors that I am a better business coach than I am a martial arts coach. That is a hard pill to swallow, dude, because it's not what I want to be. You know, yeah. I want to be the rock star UFC fighter, bro. That's what I wanted to be, right? I didn't want to be the kids coach or the business mentor, but I believe that I was given these gifts. I have to use them or they'll be wasted. And you just got to keep it real with yourself. If you're bad at shit, then you got to let it go. You have to delegate it. And when you're good at shit, you have to let it go. You have to delegate it. What does delegation require? systems. If you don't have systems, it's not replicatable. People are going to be guessing, well, how did Mike do it? How did Mike do it? And like, you got to keep it so real with yourself in this business. If you're trash at teaching kids classes, don't lie to yourself and be like, well, it's good enough. Good is the enemy of great. Find someone who's great at it. And it's always the unsung hero. It's probably the female blue belt mom who is just, stern enough, and she could be a rock star kids instructor and do it better than you. Black belts have a hard time accepting that there's going to be lower belts that are better than some things that than you are. So self-awareness, delegation, and tethering those those tasks that you delegate through systems that work.
Yeah, black belts tend to have a couple of things. I've heard it called black belt brain. In other words, you're so far removed from what it's like to be a black belt that you don't empathize very well. And the other is sometimes you don't have a lot of the excitement for teaching and running class the way it needs to be run for beginners and kids and stuff like that. So I will say, maybe not true in all cases, but definitely a lower rank that still has that enthusiasm and is so excited to be there. And it could help them develop too, to be doing it. Might be better than you at that. It's very possible.
Yeah. It's at least worth exploring, and doing some self-reflection and just being real, asking yourself the right questions too.
Yeah. Recently we were at a point where we wanted another instructor to help with in the striking program. And the coach was like, nobody, and this is the guy that I like, he's good. I like him. He's like, nobody there wants to be a teacher. I'm like, okay, let's ask in class one day. And sure enough, somebody that he didn't expect was very interested. So, I think that's, I'm way more, what's your opinion on this? Because I'm way more, you need a second or you good?
Let me actually go downstairs because my family just got home. I guess the kids had a half day of school.
Okay.
So I'm going to go downstairs because I don't want to be hollering at them because they're still very young. They might not understand they have to be quiet for however long we got. But go ahead. Keep asking the question. Go ahead.
Okay. I've derailed myself. Hang on a second. Let's see.
You were talking about you hired a coach because you asked the class
All right.
who wanted to teach because the coach said that no one wanted to teach.
Right.
The striking coach.
Yeah, I got it. So I wanted kind of your thought on this because used to, like, I didn't know whether I should be hiring externally or internally, but even for like sales jobs and stuff. And I've had people say, hey, we don't get our appointment setters internally and whatever. And I think there's pros and cons to all of it, but I've had the most success lately at my gym hiring everything internally personally. What do you think about that?
I've except for MMA coaches, except for coaches that like I need like someone higher level. Like I needed a high level Muay Thai coach, so I went external. And I needed a high level MMA coach, so I went external. Why? Because it takes a long time to develop those things. Luckily, our bench strength in the jiu-jitsu program, I never have to bring in another black belt from the outside ever again because, we have so many students. There's so much bench strength there, but our Muay Thai program is newer and our MMA program is even more new. So I needed to go external. But as far as everything else, dude, I do it all internal, and it is a good retention system for your instructors too, because let's be real, man, like we can only pay our instructors so much per class, salaried or whatever. And then it doesn't make sense unless we give them appointments to set and sales to close and give them commission-based stuff so that they can, they basically can have no ceiling on their, listen, I'm fine with paying someone an extra 10 grand a month if they want to sign up that many people and do that many renewals. I'm happy to do it because of what it does to the bottom line. I don't want to outsource that to someone else. Then my instructor that's here scrubbing the toilets, cleaning the kids after the kids class, teaching the kids classes, dealing with the parents, making the attendance calls. But this dude's making twice as much as me, and he came from the outside. I mean, no disrespect to anyone that does it that way, but I would maybe look at like how psychologically and emotionally that's impacting your team that's been there, that helped you build this thing, and built the foundation of it with you. Now you're bringing in someone else, and they're scooping up all the good commissions and stuff. I just don't do it that way, and I've been able to retain and keep a really, really good specialized staff by always. I tell them, I'm like, listen, bro, you work for me, you get to a certain level, you're now an entrepreneur. You're in charge of your own money. You decide how much you make every month. I'm going to feed you as many leads as you tell me you can handle. You go through that renewal list. Hey, listen, man, I know I said 3 months is how we start hitting them up. But if you have a great relationship with a student and they're only 6 months into the membership and you can upgrade them and sell them on another membership, get the commission. Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to hold you back. I don't take any. I probably shouldn't say this because it's going to mess some school owners up there. I don't take any of their private lesson money. They keep 100% of their private lesson money. I take 50% if that person is a non-rising tide student. So if they're a rising tide student, they're paying their tuition anyway, dude. I look at the private lessons as another retention tool. So I let them keep 100% of their private lesson money. I let them do camps. I let them do seminars. I don't take any of it because they're basically doing free. They're doing events for me for free. The students pay for it, and I don't have to do anything, and it keeps them happy. I had an instructor made an extra 20 grand last year just on private lessons and camps that he was doing.
Yeah, they would have to be hustling for that. And the biggest advantage of seminars, camps, and private lessons is the retention. It isn't the upfront money. I do think that either model is acceptable. I think you can pay somebody like, hey, part of your job is these private lessons, right? But the asterisk there is most people that try to do that aren't paying a really competitive salary. So I'm personally not giving any commissions right now, because I played with that, and I wanted to take away the incentive to like be a scummy salesperson. And I wanted you to enroll these people because you're part of this gym, that you love this program and that it's part of your job. And you're already, I mean, I'm already giving you the money, right? So you're ending up still probably making a lot more money with me with the sales than you'd make it on a commission based. So I think either way is fine. And I definitely see the advantage of the way you're talking about, but I had a very negative experience with, you were actually, I don't know if you remember it, you were even involved in one of those negative experiences within that group with that one guy was commenting in there. Like that dude was getting a base pay, I think, of like 40K a year was like a base pay, right? And then he was like, hey, should I get, I forget what he was even asking. But and just my policy was you didn't. You just got a percentage of, and he asked it, hey, do you get, I was doing like a nice salary, like plus commissions for him. And this guy only did sales. He didn't do the appointment setting. Somebody else did that. He didn't do any cleaning up around the gym. Like he just did sales. I fed him the leads, all of that. He got a nice base salary. He didn't think it was that nice. He thought he was worth more, whatever. Maybe he can go make more elsewhere. I hope he does make lots and lots of money elsewhere. But it's like you were something like, oh, people were answering, yeah, if we collect the rest of it, they get that percent. It's like, hey, that's not the way I do it, right? That's not the way I do it. And you're like all these other people, you'd be getting paid less at their gyms, right? And so instead, I just went away from like, hey, no sales commission, no sales commission, and nobody just does sales here. You're going to do all this stuff, and it's just part of your job. You're doing it because it's part of your job, and because why wouldn't you want to grow the business? You don't want to grow the business? So, but yeah, I don't think there's a right version.
I would love to get to a point where I don't have to give commission and I can just raise everyone's base so much and maybe give them just like a small percent of gross profit. but I get a big space to fill. You know what I mean? And look, dude, at the end of the day, if your employees are happy and they feel like they're being fairly compensated and you're constantly giving them opportunities to have more upward trajectory, that's the overarching theme that I think is the most important. You know, they got to feel appreciated and they got to feel like it's fair.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, once again, most martial arts school owners, because we've both talked to a lot of them. Most of them, I would say, man, a good portion of them make nothing. Essentially very close to nothing. They work another job and then they go in and they run their school, and the school close to break even. Some of them, they lose money on their school. The percentage of them that make profit on their gym more than 30, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 a year, something like that, is not that high.
No.
So, and so that way, like all the employees that like, hey, I'm going to open my own gym. Like, hey, well, one, my guys are loyal, and loyalty comes from being treated well and whatever. And I think they wouldn't want to do that anyway. But also, you know, it's a cost risk analysis. If you're getting paid $20 a class 3 times a week, and like, so you're making $60 a week. So like, it's whatever. You have no risk. You have no risk to go and do this. But if you have a steady job, you're living the dream. You got to quit your other job to do martial arts. You have an incredible amount of risk because there isn't a lot of jobs like that. So maybe that's something school owners should consider for their key assets, the people that could take some students with them. You know, I mean, and I've had one case personally of somebody that did that, and they went out of business super quick.
Yeah. And I've ran into people leaving and stuff like that. It happens, you know, but typically my guys stay with me for a long time because I'm also creating a growth and a success plan for them to show them like, hey, listen, you know, what's first, I get very clear on what their goals are, because some people, they might have other aspirations. If they want to go open their own school, I got to know about it. You know what I mean? Because the last thing I want is for an ambitious person to learn all of my sales systems, to learn all my retention systems, to invest all this time in teaching them how to teach. And then they go do it and they don't do it under our umbrella. And I did run into that. And I invested a lot of time into 2 people in particular. One of them was a manager of my gym. And they basically tried to gut my adult program in my smaller location during COVID. So I will tell people that, you know, there are some risks involved with developing someone that's ambitious. But what I did wrong, I take responsibility for that. I take responsibility for everything bad that happens at the gym. But where I messed up with that is I didn't get clear enough on their goals. I didn't know how ambitious they really were about running their own school. And I didn't create a success plan for them to basically stay internal and do it under me. I didn't have that. I have that now. I have an affiliate program now. So if someone feels they're outgrowing Rising Tide under Mike Stewart and Jordan Stewart, they can open a Rising Tide franchise outside and they run the gym, but we get a fee and we help them mitigate the risk. And once they start realizing everything that goes in, especially the initial 6 months of opening a gym, they're like, oh my God, dude, you know what? Thank you so much for what you pay me. I think I'm just going to stay put. And like, I pride myself in that. My managers, they make more money than the average school owner, like hands down, dude, like a considerable amount more, which gives me a tremendous amount of freedom. You know, I mean, there's 2 classes going on right now at either of my locations and I'm not there. You know, we already had 2 morning classes this morning. I don't have to be there. I don't have to look in and check the security cameras or anything like that from my phone because I know they're doing a good job. I trust these guys. I get great feedback from the students, but you know, I would say like ambitious instructors are what you want, but there has to be a growth success plan for them, or they'll leave if they don't feel like they're being and generally what happens, we've all seen this, they see you doing it, they see me doing it, and they're like, well, if Brian can do it, if Mike can do it, how hard can it be? And then they leave and they don't understand how to negotiate their lease, and they don't understand how to sell. They don't understand student development. They just they think they know what's up, and then they go try to do it, and they realize it's considerably harder. And I'm not trying to shit on anyone here, but I will for a minute. The dudes that left my gym and did it on their own, bet you they got 70 students, and they've been in business for 3 years now. The group of my guys that stayed under me, and I opened the first Rising Tide affiliate franchise program, have been open for 10 months. They have 250 students. I can't take credit for all of that because they're doing the work, but they're following my systems. They're following the path that has been laid before them. Help them negotiate their lease, help them get their mats, help them train their staff, help them with their sales process, train them all up on how everything goes. 3 years, 70 students, probably less than that. I'm being generous to these guys. 10 months, 250 students, a number of students that a lot of schools never even reach in 10 years. So that's the value of mentorship. But also, if I didn't treat these guys right, and I didn't have the value, and I didn't invest in myself as a business coach, they would just go do it on their own. And I wouldn't blame them for that because they did outgrow my gym.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of it also, like, all these people trying to take shortcuts and not do things the right way. It's not just, so I'm not saying your systems aren't great, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with it, but the type of people that are trying to do shortcuts, because most of these, what their business plans are, is their business plan is all these students, they're my students, right? Because I teach them. So I know what they charge here. It's like $200 a month times, I've got like 100 students here. So I should be making that. Divide what, and like not thinking about like, so that's what I should like. So my business plan is take those students with me. I'll make more, right? Not even thinking you got to replace those students. How many leads? How are you going to get leads? How many leads do you need to set an appointment? How many appointments do you need to get one to show? How many do you need to show to get one to sign? How long is the retention going to be? Like, how are we going to keep this going? Even if you did steal the whole program, like I could put it back in 8 months and yours would basically be gone in 8 months, right? So, and you can't steal the whole program anyway, because like if I left, I couldn't take my whole program from my gym because people just don't leave the gym that way.
No.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, people they're just like, they're not having a real business plan. They're thinking they're a coach and they're wanting a shortcut, right? And the people that want shortcuts don't do as well. The people are like, hey, what are the systems? I want to put in the work and grow and do it. With any sort of good.
But their business plan is, hey, let me use this email list that I've accessed from because I'm a manager at this gym, and email everyone that's blue belt or higher. Only the good people, by the way, they went after. They didn't go after anyone that actually needed some student development and probably had some challenges and really needed martial arts. So it's like, let me just go for the people that like already are good. And my business plan is I'm just going to steal a bunch of Mike's adult students. But look how that worked out for him, dude. And at the end of the day, man, like I do believe you have to have some integrity in this business. It's so easy not to. It's so easy to do things the wrong way. But I've never poached a student, dude, in my entire career. If anyone has ever come from another gym and they're like, hey, man, I want to train with you instead. Okay, but you're with them, aren't you? So you need to like pay off your membership with them, or at least have a conversation with them about getting out of the contract before I work with you, because I just don't do it like that. I've never poached an instructor. I've never poached a student. I just think it's a really dishonest way to make money. And at the end of the day, like, even if these guys here did blow up and they got to like, 300-400 students, you have to sleep with yourself at night knowing that like you didn't get there alone. I pride myself on that fact that like we did this on our own, dude. Like we didn't take students from other gyms, or we didn't take students from our instructors. We did it all internally. And that means that people are here because they want to be here, not because they got a better deal or they were incentivized through some other bait, really. They just want to be here. It's a good feeling.
Right. Yeah. And it's people don't understand the business math because basically you can calculate how big your school is going to be, what the size of it's going to be. If you look at, okay, number of students that, so what's your churn? How many of them with quality of class, all the things, the reminders, what percentage are you losing per month? So say if it's 10% and then you sign up 10 students a month. Okay. So how many students are you going to have? You're going to have 100 students because if you're above, you're below. So you steal 1,000 students from me and that's your numbers. You're going to have 100 students because it's going to keep going until you have 5 students, you're going to have 100 students. It's going to take a little bit of time. So it's like, okay, your business plan is steal these guys, but like that isn't a business plan.
Yeah.
That's a
tactic. That's not a strategy. That's a cheap tactic. Is what
it's
that
not
is.
a sustainable.
That
It's
never
just like
works.
you have if like it's like, oh, Eddie Bravo beat Hoyler and 10th for one 10th pound didn't sign up. Some people actually told me they did sign up that day. We didn't sign up a bunch of people the next day, but if you remember that you were in the jiu-jitsu scene, people were like, ooh, 10th planet right that day, and like say you did. Say you got that one-time boost and you did sign up. There were memes that's like, hey, people at their nearest 10th planet tomorrow. And it said the people around the building and whatever. That's a meme that never happened anywhere that I'm aware of. But some people did get some students from it. But say you got 100 students that day. Long term, you got some short term money. Long term, that's not affecting the growth of your school because only the sustainable systems dictate how big your school is going to be. That's just that influx. Your business will drop down in size. It's all about these little numbers. What determines the growth of your business? These little numbers that you don't want to pay $50 more for software, or pay an appointment setter a little bit. These that's what determines the size of your school, not hitting the lottery and getting. And the local school, maybe a local school will shut down, and you'll get 30 of their students one time. Like that may happen to you. It happens on occasion, but that's not the sustain. Like that's not really going to make any long-term difference in your business.
Agree totally. It's all about like you said, the sustainability of it. Can we do this month after month, year after year? And then again, like getting really, really clear on your goals. You know, some people don't want to have a big school, you know, and they just want to have, like you said, like kind of like a club that breaks even. You know, I got a buddy, he's a good friend of mine. I'm almost envious of him because he's an accountant. He runs his gym like a club, and it's in like a beach town here in Maryland, and they do challenge matches all the time. They have a cage out, and like drunk people come in and they sign a waiver, and like he should do like a reality show. It's like super entertaining. And I'm like, man, I can't do that, you know, but that's what he wants. You know, that's what he wants.
That's cool.
want, and that's cool. And we have to be careful not to tell people that they need to want what we want. You know what I mean? I've had to really tether myself with that over the years. I've been blessed that I've been able to do this full time for almost 15 years now. And I know what it's done for me. And I just would like to see, like, when I see school owners, what I think is struggling, they're perfectly happy. They're fine with it. And their goals are just adjusted different than mine.
That's absolutely fine. And I'll go ahead and hurt a couple more people's feelings here. Is there's a long time ago, even before I had a school, I remember talking about, like, you know, the old stupid style versus style conversation, and these Aikido schools and Taekwondo schools. And I remember seeing a school, and they said on their website that it was Aikido school. It's like, hey, we're here for development and whatever. No, maybe it was a Tai Chi school, something like that. It was like, if you're interested in self-defense, you should probably just go somewhere else. I was like, all of a sudden, I like you, right? So like, I'm not a huge fan of like that, but it's so many of the time they're like preaching it as the best self-defense, all these guys. So if you're willing to say that, so all these times most of the time, my issue with that is these people are like you're talking about, and they talk to me and they're like, man, I don't know, all these people, it's not fair. The Taekwondo school down the street makes all this money. And it's like, I want to grow. I deserve to grow. I'm this and that. Well, you're not doing the things. But if you're happy, if you're like, no, this is what I want. Oh, we're not a for-profit business. Like, well, we're not a charity. We're not a for-profit business, but I'm not like, I'm just making, I like that I'm making $100 a month here. I pay my Netflix with it and my whatever. And then I
Yeah.
work my
And you
regular
train for
job and
free,
then we beat people up and like, that's
you get to
fine.
do your, yeah, you get to do your hobby for free and help your community. That's totally fine, bro.
But just don't say that I want to do this and be this, and your actions not matching. It's like, don't say you want to have the best equipped people for self-defense and teach something that isn't that. If you're saying, oh no, this is actually bad for self-defense. There's only one school that I ever see that in there. They're like, hey, I like this place. If I ever wanted to do Tai Chi, I'd come to you because I like that.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, like, I'm fine with people doing Hapkido, Krav Maga, Taekwondo, Kung Fu. Just be transparent that shit don't work in a real fight. Like, it's cool if you're doing it for the mental benefit, the camaraderie, the fitness that you're gonna get out of it, the emotional support that you get from your team, and you just kind of like spinning nunchucks around, and you think it's cool and you think it's fun. Bro, I'm not gonna shame anyone that's off the couch. You know what I mean? But don't say that it's good for fighting, because that's just a lie, and we can prove that that's a lie. And I'm with you, bro. And I'm pretty brazen in my criticism of the traditional martial arts because I've lived on both sides of the train tracks, and it's just so provable now. It's kind of a silly argument. I'm actually surprised that like these guys are still like, if we're living in the Stone Age, they're living in the Ice Age, bro. Like, they are not evolving. But a lot of these schools still make more money and have more students than the jiu-jitsu and the combat sports gyms.
Because they evolved the business side of it.
We need a renaissance in the combat sports arena where like outside of like, Alan's group, the stuff you're doing, me and a couple other guys, it's still Stone Age type business tactics. We need to have like a new renaissance where, like, yes, we are teaching the most effective boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, wrestling. I mean, is that, maybe we'll throw Sambo in there. Is that even arguable anymore? It's not. Stop being silly, right? But we need to tether the business practices of the Taekwondo guys and humble ourselves a little bit. Maybe get on the phone with the Taekwondo franchise schooler and be like, how are you doing things different? Right? I'm just getting killed over here, man. Because you can give gold away for free, right? But if you just put a sign that's hand painted on your front yard that says free gold and it's spelled wrong in like paint, people are not going to take it seriously. But I do believe we have martial arts gold, especially Brazilian jiu-jitsu, dude. There's something, I love all combat sports. There's just something so special about what happens to people when they do jiu-jitsu and just the life-changing effects that it has beyond the combat effectiveness, which is a nice byproduct of it too. Is just knowing you can handle yourself comes with a certain level of assertiveness and confidence in life that I think is necessary. But if you have this gold sitting in your gym, why aren't you excited to tell people about it? Why aren't you being a little bit corny with your marketing to get, because funny people like funny. I see these ads, it's so serious and the guys are like fucking each other up. You're appealing to the people that are already at your damn gym or already training somewhere else. The best ad that I've ever done is my least favorite ad. I hate this ad, bro. It's so fucking corny. I can't stand it, dude. It's me holding a gi in one hand and a pair of boxing gloves in the other. And I'm like doing this stupid open mouth smile. And it just says free everything. This goes against everything that I want my marketing to look like. I can't stand it, dude. I hate it. Every time we run that ad, we get 25, 30 students out of it. So we need to humble ourselves as combat sports coaches and learn a little bit more from the traditional guys and inject a little bit more. Like, what is the woman that's looking to sign up looking for? People that have kids, the dude that's middle-aged and he's overweight and he's out of shape and he's scared to come in here and have someone touch his neck or break his arm. How do we speak to those people? Because let's be real, those are the people that need it the most. And they shouldn't, and they're scared. They're still scared to do what we do. We get jaded because we're so used to wrestling and grappling with each other and striking or whatever. We forget how much stress is involved in that first. And the more we can lower that barrier to be like, okay, it's actually not that hard. It's challenging, but it's not that hard. It's friendly, it's clean, and we welcome everybody here. I'm starting to see it happen where people kind of dropping the tough guy act and just appealing more to the people in their community. And I think that's good. We got a long way to go. We do need to educate people more.
For sure. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do right here. And I really appreciate you helping me do that today. Do you have any closing points or things for anyone, Mike?
I would just say to everyone that you need to invest in systems, software, people, coaching. And I can't emphasize the coaching enough. Like, we get too close to the business and we're looking at it like this, and it's good to have someone that can kind of see broader picture. And for me personally, I've gotten the best results getting a business coach that has nothing to do with martial arts at all. And it's someone that is just super, super high level that can kind of look at it from a higher perspective, kind of sitting in the high seat. They're not attached to what we do at all. And just to back up what Brian's doing and what else is out there, if you're not using technology and software, you are at the mercy of human error, which is inevitable.
Awesome, man. So
and thank you. I always love talking to you, bro. You're such an interesting guy, and I just respect you so much. And I just love, the thing I love the most about the podcast is when you said you could have just sold your gym and retired. How old are you? Are you even 40?
No, I'm not 40. I turned 37, just turned 37 in November.
Yeah. I mean, you could have like basically been retired at 37 and rode off into the sunset, but your purpose is deeper and you're going. I respect that so much. And those are the people that truly make a difference in this world. So I appreciate that about you, man.
Awesome. Thanks so much. If people want to reach you, find you, where should they go?
On Instagram, Rising Tide Academy or The Choke Dealer. My website is risingtidemartialarts.us. And if you're in Maryland, DC, Baltimore area, come jump in for an open mat, train with me. If you are a school that's struggling and you want to be part of a good affiliation, I'm happy to talk to you. I'm pretty particular about who I allow in. Or if you just want some basic business consultation on growing your school, I'm happy to do that for anyone too.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mike.